Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Kudash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Remember Lot's Wife. And pretty much this is a lesson that the title came to me based off of a video I was watching a little while ago. I went for a little walk. And I was watching this brother's video before I went on the walk. And while I was on the walk, the brother GMS Gabar War, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the brother is up in upstate New York, if I'm not mistaken. And pretty much I was listening to him, about the beast and the worshipers of the beast, and pretty much how Jake is pretty much caught up into this system, and just pretty much, in so many words, engulfed into the everyday affairs of this life. And pretty much what's happening is not allowing them to see, the real picture. And the real picture is the truth, because the truth is what's going to get us to that next level, to get to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, to be able to be delivered, to be saved out of this hellhole called America, Babylon the Great. The scriptures already tell us when we're dealing with this place. I got a few precepts I wrote down, but this one just came to mind. So let's go to, what is that? Is that Micah 2:10? God, Barak it says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest," because the people of the Most High are looking for that rest. And what is that rest? The kingdom of heaven. Because even though Jake fights against it, you have these Jakes that say that they're so-called atheists and, all this other BS. Deep down inside, Jake is looking for rest. Jake is looking for, comfortability. They're looking for, something to soothe their spirit, from everything that they've gone through, even though they may not say it outwardly. It says, because it is polluted. So this place is polluted. It's spoiled. It's, made toxic. It's made as a trap to pretty much entrap you. Like we were reading, I was doing a video with Elder Apostle Rakai yesterday and a few of the other officers from Dallas, and pretty much I read the scripture in Isaiah 51st chapter, the 20th verse, I believe it is, where it speaks about, your sons have fainted. They're in the head of the streets as a wild bull in a net. And we looked up the word net, which is the first time I actually looked it up in that scripture that I could remember. And the word net pretty much means a trap, so they're trapped in this society, that in this environment, this toxic environment that Esau set up. It's a project. It's a maze, and the maze, as in the movie Dark Knight, the maze, you just keep going around in circles and circles and circles, but you never get the desired effect. And that's why those that do get it, they have to sell out. Those that do achieve, like certain Jakes that do achieve wealth, which would be considered the middle class, are now feeling the pinch from, this economy that's down, that's on a downward spiral. So the middle class is dwindling, which would just leave the super rich and the poor, because it's nothing more than a big trap. And the only way you can really prosper in this trap is if you sell out. This is why when Satan was tempting Yahushua, he came to him and told him to bow down to him, and he would give him all the glory of all these kingdoms, because it was given into his hand by Yahweh. You see? So the word for that we just read there for polluted is tama'ah, which means to be unclean, become impure, right? Because of what? The everyday rituals that are going on out here. The everyday, just drawing people into this poison, toxic environment. You know, putting things out there to draw you further and further away from the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You see? So it says to become unclean, to be polluted ceremonially, religiously, because they have all kind of religious madness out here, religious freedoms, sexuality, and that's another part of the pollution. They're pushing transmission. They're pushing the mode lifestyle. They're pushing the PDF files. And all of this stuff out here that is abominable to the Most High, to keep Jake polluted, because they know as long as Jake is polluted, they're not a threat. See, Jake pretty much is, when Jake is in that toxic mind state, this grimy so-called black, so-called Latino culture, they're not a threat to Esau. And Esau likes them just like that. All right, so let's go to the first precept. Let's go, and I put this video in the description box. You brothers can watch it. A few sisters, very good video. The brother said that the image of the beast, part of it was black culture or something along those lines. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but I understand what the brother said, because it's a part of this system, but it's really the ancient Roman system in modern days today, which when you really get into the ancient Roman system, there was Moism, there was a lot of toxic things going on. So I understand what the brother said. I just wanted to make a mention of that in case somebody was to read that or watch the video and say that the image of the beast is just black culture. Because, you have those individuals out there that'll say that, even though the brother did explain that it has a lot of different things involved in it. But, the ultimate that it's dealing with is that image of the ancient Roman Empire, being brought into play today. All right. So, but you can watch the video, very good video. So let's go to Luke chapter 17 and verse 32. We're going to go right to the point. Luke 17:32. Remember Lot's wife, because Lot's wife looked back when she was out of there. She was on the winning side. She was winning. But when they got out the city and were running away, the scriptures don't go into detail, but more than likely she was thinking about, all the goods that she had in Sodom, right? And she was thinking about where they were going. These are just, when you extrapolate, she was thinking about where they were going to nowhere, and all of the substance that they had, back, in Sodom. So she said, you know what, I want to go back. And then when she turned around, what happened? She turned into a pillar of salt, which basically means she just disintegrated, from that. They're just looking at the heat because, as the elder pastor was saying, that there was a force field behind them, but there was nothing really in front of them. So when she turned around, she allowed the force field to be in the back, but then her front was exposed. And that's pretty much a symbol, which is an actual story that happened. It actually turned into a pillar of salt. But today you could use that as symbolic for these unbelievers that are going to be destroyed in the lake of fire if they continue on the path that they are in this society. So let's go from there to Genesis chapter 19 to show you. For those of you that are not familiar with it, you can go to Genesis 19 and read the whole chapter. It's dealing with the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah and what was taking place. So Genesis 19 and 26 says, but his wife, meaning Lot's wife, looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. See, because the angels actually got them out of the city, because Lot was pretty much lollygagging. So the angels had to hurry him up because they said, we can't destroy this place until you and your family are out of here. So she was on the winning team but then she turned around. And that's a woman for you. She could be on the winning team and then turn around. Now, why did she look back? Well, because they had great substance. Let's go to Genesis chapter 13, right? And we're going to start at the first verse, going to read a couple of verses. It says, "And Abram," Genesis 13 and 1, "and Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south." Lot had wives, he had daughters. It says, "And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journey from the south, even to Bethel." It didn't say anything about FRN, paper dollars, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first. And there Abram called on the name of Yahweh. He didn't call on Alishajah. He didn't call on any other name. He called on Yahweh. And he built the altar to Yahweh. All right. When Seth was born, and then he had Enos, it said, "Then began men to call upon the name of Yahweh." That name has always been around. That is the Most High's personal name. It just wasn't famous at one point because the Lord made it that way on purpose so that his name can be magnified even more after the deliverance and destruction of Egypt, or really pretty much a deliverance from Egypt, because the Lord was destruction too, because he plagued Egypt, and he destroyed their whole military, including their pharaoh. All right, and that's when the Most High's name became famous again, because it was known, but it just wasn't famous. All right, and Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. So Lot was very rich also, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. So they had so many riches that they couldn't. The herdsmen of Abram and the herdsmen of Lot were in contention to try to feed and water their flocks because they had so much. So she was doing good. Abram was doing good. Lot was doing good. Lot's wife and his daughter, they were doing good. They were doing amazing. They had everything. So when they left, she looked back because of those riches, because of those goodies, because of the home, and she was comfortable. So that's what, you cannot become comfortable in this society. You cannot become comfortable in this society. You have to live as if, anything could happen at any given time. You could be living, in a apartment or home, and then the next day be gone, or the next week or the next month, not have that anymore. So here we got the word for pilgrim. I typed it in Hebrews 11:13. No, I'm sorry, that's not it. That's in the Apocrypha. Let me just type in pilgrim, and it'll come up as pilgrims also. Here we go. Second Ezra 16 and 40. "O my people, hear my word, make you ready to thy battle." So we are mentally being prepared for the time of Jacob's trouble. These are those perilous times. This is that, time, or the time of battle, the time of Jacob's trouble. "And in those evils be even as what? Pilgrims upon the earth." So what is a pilgrim? Like a what's the word I'm looking for? A vagabond. They're here 1 minute and gone. Like you had Gad and Reuben, right? They would set up teepees, which were temporary shelters, which were pretty much booths, sakaf. I believe it's Sakawath in the Hebrew. That's the Feast of Tabernacles, which are tabernacles. They were temporary shelters. And that's what they will set up tent, They might be there a year, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, then they'll move on to the next because they understood about giving the land time to rest. So they would move around. They didn't have no stable place, all the time. They would move around. They would, recycle, so to speak. So that's how we're supposed to be here. The Apostle Paul said he has no sure resting place. So this place is polluted. So we should have the mindset of, look, we just temporary citizens here until the Lord delivers us and brings us into our, permanent home, which is the kingdom. All right. So let's go from there to 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 9. So it says, but they that will be rich, and this is the key, they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which young men. Shalom, Pastor.
I had the sons. I knew you doing a video, y'all.
I heard y'all say I want to come down.
Salaki, man.
That's all right, Pastor.
I had to salute you before you left, man.
Con.
My brother, man. Shalom to the brothers.
Yeah, the Apostle Rakar, just joined us. Just going into, pretty much, pretty much not, getting caught up into this world. Lot's wife.
That's right.
The deceitfulness of riches, which I'm reading that right now, 1 Timothy 6 and 9. But they that will be rich fall into temptation. And it's, if you want to.
Keep going. I'll go. If the spirit get over
I could bring it downstairs.
Stay right here.
Okay.
Going, I'm up, I got my rib in the truck.
Okay.
So I just want to stop by,
Okay. It says, but they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. Because what happens, like the Hawashah said, you can't serve the Most High Mammon, because there's going to be a conflict, because you're going to put more devotion into one or the other. You're either going to be devoted to the Lord, or you're going to be devoted to this world, which is being devoted to money.
Yeah, like these other Israelite groups out here. That's why you see them getting into the situation, because them dudes like the Sakari, Alizé, and all them dudes, they want to start rap careers. Look, man, you can't. Either you're going to be a prophet of the Lord or a priest.
Right.
Or you're going to be serve the Lord.
That's it.
But them dudes want to make money. They want fame. So that's why they got into those different ventures.
Yeah.
So to speak. You know what I mean? Like, rapping. Oh, even the IURC, Nate and them.
Yeah. Yep.
Remember they had rap videos and all that shit?
Yeah.
But Nate, of all people, know better.
Come.
Like, he was supposed to know the scriptures.
Come. So
it's either you just gonna look, man, we doing this, or like don't play like you an Israelite in the truth, but you trying to do worldly shit and amalgamate that into the truth. No, man, you just look, man. Either we doing this, we just doing videos, we going out to the camp, and we just prophesying, we preaching, or that's just like leave the Israelite thing alone. Just go be niggas in the world.
Yeah, you can't straddle the fence.
Yeah, you can't straddle the fence, man.
That's right.
Con.
And that will lead into destruction and perdition. It says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. So there's nothing wrong with having money, but it's the love of the money that's the root of all evil. It says, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with much sorrows. You see, and that's because when you're on that chase is a never-ending chase. You're chasing money. And when you're chasing money, you're worried, when you get a big substantial amount of money, you're always worried that somebody's going to try to get you, or somebody's going to try to rob you, or people are not handling your finances correctly.
Or the government going to get you.
That's it.
Or some woman going to get you.
That's right. This is a never-ending rest, So if you're chasing that, you're going to have to devote all your time and energy to that, and you're not going to have time for the Lord.
That's right, because you're worried about keeping my ends up. Hey, talk to Mike Tyson. He could tell you all about that.
Living proof.
He's living proof, but and he got that one. Mike Tyson ain't got the truth, but he do got a little wisdom on as far as how things go in this world.
Yeah.
He know he was there. Like, yeah, these women, they like them goodies,
Yep.
And then he trusted people with his money and he made
Millions,
his prime,
millions,
500 million he was worth.
Man.
In his prime. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And then he almost went broke.
Yep.
You know, so that he'll tell you that he's older now, mature, you know.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, man, I'm telling you, man, you gotta watch people.
Yeah.
Money, because that money ain't shit.
That's it.
Mike Tyson said that money ain't shit.
Yep.
Because he had the money.
Right. And it's gone.
And then, yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, he's making a little bit, you know, he kind of made some money back. He's okay now financially. He's doing good, but he got a different understanding.
Yeah. Yep.
Than when he was young. About money.
Yeah.
You got them all. If you died right there, okay, let's say you got $500 million. If you drop that, I always think about that shit. Even us, we ain't rich, we ain't no millionaires.
Right.
Us brothers in this truth, our life is this truth. I got a nice little truck. I'm doing the spirit of the Lord got it with us brothers in this truth. We ain't homeless, we ain't fucked up.
Yeah.
But like even the clothes, the boots on my feet, the hat on my head, if I drop dead right now, what's gonna happen to it? It's gonna end up being thrown away, or somebody else gonna be wearing my shit.
That's it.
And some other man, if I got a woman, guess what? Eventually, some other man gonna be bouncing up and down on top of your woman.
That's it.
We don't own nothing.
Nothing. Hey, well, the Apostle Paul said it best in this same chapter. We came in naked and we leave naked.
Gone.
You know, and even when the Lord delivers us, you ain't taking, oh, you know, brother, I got, you know, $100,000 in the bank or $1 million. You ain't taking that with you. When you go, if you are part of the elect and you get beamed up into the chariot, guess what? You're gonna go up there just with your body.
That's right.
And even that body ain't going into the chariot.
The bodies we got ain't going.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a transformation in the air. You know, and by the time you get to the chariot, you're gonna have a total different body. You ain't gonna have, oh snap, I got me a quarter in my pocket, you know, or I got me a silver, you know, coin in my pocket. The eagle. You're not gonna have none of that. You know, you ain't gonna have none of that.
Yeah, man, that's that.
Yep, because these riches will corrupt you.
Yeah, they will, and that proved them dudes are not the men of the Lord. Men who chase after riches, man.
That's
like
it.
The apostle said, it's okay. You need money as a defense.
Yep.
You know, we need money to operate in this world.
Yeah.
You know, and that's about to change pretty soon. The MOTB,
that's it.
I'm gonna leave you to the video.
I
love you, man.
Love you too.
Y'all have a safe journey, man. Bro, keep in touch with me, man.
Bro. Let you know when we know we get
let
there.
Me know.
All right.
Hey, Shalom.
Shalom. Yeah, that was the Apostle Rakah. You know, stop by real quick. You know, we're gonna take a trip. I'm about to make a phone call not too long after we finish this video. So let's read this here. You know, it's that love of money that's the root of all evil, right? And they pierce themselves. Those that chase after it, they're gonna pierce themselves with many sorrowful, you know, hurtful lusts, right? And that does what? That causes you to become polluted in that chase. So James 1:27, pure religion and undefiled, or pure worship and undefiled before the Most High and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction, which this was done in the past. Today it's done through what? Through the lessons that are done to comfort, you know, brothers out there and sisters out there. All right. And to keep himself what? Unspotted from the world, because the world is polluted. All right. So now when we look up this word unspotted, I forgot what the actual Greek word is. Aspilos. Okay. Yep. Aspilos. Spotless, right? Metaphorically, free from censure, irreproachable, free from vice, unsullied. See? So unspotted means to be immaculate. Immaculate means to be clean, not stained. You know, this world will stain. So you want to be not spotted. The opposite of aspilos would be spilos, which is spotted, dirty. You know, having spots on your garment. You know, we want to be able to keep our garments and keep them pure and clean. So when the Lord comes back, he can call us, you know, up into the chariots. Revelation 16 and 15, it says, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments. What is this? What do the garments represent? This truth. Least he walk naked, meaning without the truth, and they see his shame. Why? Because ultimately that's going to lead to your destruction. You see? So go back. Spilos, free from vice, unsullied. See right there, spiloao, which is what? Spot. See? Spotted. Having stains. When the Lord asked for the sacrifices, demanded the sacrifices, he demanded that they were unspotted. You know, that they were not tampered with, that they were not sick. It had to be a perfect sacrifice. And that's what the Lord is requiring now, a perfect sacrifice. All right? So going back, so he remains unspotted, right? And to keep himself unspotted from the world, because this world is filthy. So let's go from there to Galatians chapter 1. And just imagine, you know, this right here, what we're about to read, was talking about 2,000 years ago. So how much more filthy and polluted do you think this world is today and evil? Galatians 1 and 4, who gave himself for our sins that he might deliver us from this present evil world, according to the will of the Most High and our Father. You see? Now let's go from there to 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. And we're going to start at the 29th verse, but the point is in 31. It says, but this I say, brethren, the time is short. And if your lights are on, your righteous lights are on, you can see that this place doesn't have much time. You can see that the time is short. This society is at the brink of collapse. So why would you want to try to build up a society that the Lord is going to destroy? The reason why this place was set up was to go into what? Perdition. What, did the Bishop Nathaniel forget that America is that eighth head that was set up to go into perdition or to destruction? So if that's the case, why would you want to build this place up? Just use it for what it's worth and move on. But just know that, look, we're looking for the kingdom of heaven. But see, these guys don't believe that. They'll believe that it's going to come 100 years later or 200 years later, or possibly when they're dead, you know, and then their children's the many generations. They probably believe that. It said, it remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. Why? Because a woman requires time. A woman requires, you know, things, goods. You know, she wants to go out. She wants to look good. She wants to smell good. She wants to get her nails done. She wants to get her hair done. You know, she wants to have the latest fashion. She wants to have money in her pocket. You know, she wants to splurge. She wants to have a nice whip. She wants you to ride her around in a nice whip. She's going to want to go on vacation, go to different places, see different things, have nice homes, nice things, jewelry, you know? And you don't, and if you are serving the Lord, you don't have time for all of that. Now you do take, if you have a woman, you know, family, you know, you take time out and then, you know, do things with them, you know, take them places and things of that nature. But that can't occupy the majority of your time. Matter of fact, let me look out the door, make sure that Rasta Skank ain't coming in. Judgment. Inside joke for those of you that know, you know. It says, and they that weep as though they wept not. You ain't got time to be depressed. And they that rejoice as though they rejoice not. And they that buy as though they possess not. Why? Because the time is short. See? The point of all of this that the Apostle Paul is saying is the time is short. All right? Now, back then you had what? 70 AD that happened. Not too long after this. I believe Corinthians was probably written somewhere maybe in the late 50s into the early 60 AD, somewhere around there. So the time for the falling away was right around the corner. Same thing today. We're at that brink, you know, of the time being short, of this total collapse of this society. And they that use this world, key point, as not abusing it, meaning don't get caught up into it, because if you get caught up into it, guess what? You're going to get caught up into the destruction. For the fashion of this world passeth away. This is just a temporary hold. It's a temporary shelter. It's a place where we're tarrying until the Lord comes back and delivers us. This is why, if you are really about this truth, if you really believe in this truth, your whole mindset is about hastening the day of the destruction of this place. All right? So let's go from there to 1 John. And these are pretty much basic building block fundamental scriptures. 1 John chapter 2, verse 15. It says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. So you use it as not abusing it, because we still have to live here. We still have to function. We still have to pay bills. You know, brothers still got to get to work, so on and so forth. You still got to have maintenance on your car, you know, or whatever. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Why? Because you're going to devote your time to serving this world and not serving the Lord. And that's pretty much what the brother was saying in here. You know, those are worshipers of the beast. You know, and the worshipers of the beast, that's Esau. And the brother's video is 444, you know. So it's 4448. I just saw. All right. Now here it says 447. So beautiful. So 1 John 2:16, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes. Yeah, because this world is toxic, pretty much. You know, and if you're ignorant to what's going on, you're going to go out there, you're going to have a good time, you're going to eat all this garbage, you know, and then you're going to end up getting sick in the hospital from all of this garbage, which is what? These fatty foods that Esau presents to you. Let's go to Revelation chapter 18. You know, this is bread and circuses. Bread and circuses. Bread was fat, pretty much. There was that toxic shit that you ate. Right, Revelation 18:14, and the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all, because the Lord is going to destroy this place. This place was set up for destruction, for perdition. When you look up the word dainties, it goes to the Greek word liparos. And the word liparos means fat. This is where you get the word lipos, right there, lipos, grease. Things which pertain to a sumptuous and delicate style of living. That's what Esau has here in America, and Jake is all into it. This is why you see, and this is talking about really right now too, even especially now, where the food that they give you is toxic. This is why you have so many obese. There's never been this many obese people in America ever, since I remember going all the way back, you know, back to the 60s and 70s. There's never been this amount of fucking fat, obese people. I mean, stomach on top of stomach, walking with your people. Their quads are carrying their stomach. No, stomach on top of stomach on top of stomach. Chin, big ass chins that look like mini stomachs. It's crazy. Right? And then when you go into the word goodly, it goes into the word lampros, which means luxury. No, shining, brilliant, clear, transparent, splendid, magnificent. Splendid things, an example, luxuries or elegancies in dress or style. And that's what they push. You know, you have in New York, on 7th Ave, they call it Fashion Ave, you know? And you have different stores that sell, you know, high-end merchandise, high-end, you know, name brand stuff, you know, whether it's bags or shoes, you know, or suits or shirts, ties, and all of this stuff. You know, everything is high fat. Everything is centered around looking good, you know, eating good, you know, living that chasing that rat, that rat race, of luxurious living in the so-called American dream. The American dream is toxic, and it destroys people when they chasing after it. You see? So let's go real quick to Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. And Barakatah Yahweh Bashem Al Shai for putting the spirit on that brother to do that lesson, to give me the idea for this one. Matthew 6:24. No man can serve two masters. See, there's going to be a conflict of interest. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve the Most High Mammon, because you're going to put more energy and effort into one than the other. You can't serve both. And if you're going to serve the Lord, chances are, for the most part, you're not going to have a whole lot of money, a whole lot of riches. You may be able to be sustained, but you're, decent enough. But as far as having riches on top of riches, there's not very many rich men or women that the Lord calls into this thing. That's not how the Lord did it. But you will have some that have a good substantial amount of money. But not many. Because not many people will be willing to give up their riches for the truth. And not many people that have got to that status will be willing to help others that are below. You see? So the last precept I have is in the book of Luke, chapter 21, and verse 34. I'm going to read a couple of verses. It says, and take heed to yourselves. Let's look up this word, heed. Take heed to yourself. Take heed. The word there is proseco. Proseco. To bring near. Let's see. To turn the mind to. See? Turn the mind to. Attend, to be attentive. In other words, watch. What did Yahweh say? Watch as well as pray. Right? So going back, and take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be what? Overcharged with surfeiting. Why? Be overcharged means you're spending too much time into something. Your devotion is being brought somewhere else than in the truth. The word there's baruno, to weigh down, overcharge, right? Because chasing money and doing things of this world is going to weigh you down to where when it comes to doing the work of the Lord, you're going to be like, I'll just do that later. I don't feel like, and eventually what happens? That one day turns into a week, turns into a month, turns into a year. Before you know it, you're out there, gone. Because you're chasing that money. That's what I said, they have erred from the faith. All right? It says, and take heed to yourself, these at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, so that day come upon you unawares. Let's see what it says for cares of this life. Cares, merimna, care, anxiety, right? And you will be anxious, and to chase this money of this life. Bioticos, sounds like biotics. Bioticos, pertaining to life and the affairs of this life. Bioticos, it's like biotics, which biotics are life. Probiotics, pro-life. Wow, check that out. Bioticos, pertaining to life and the affairs of life. So probiotics is for life. All right, let's go back. So let's go to, and so that day come upon you unawares, because you're not expecting it, because you're not watching. You took your focus off of the mission. Your eye is no longer single. For as a snare shall it come upon all them that dwell upon the face of the whole earth. See, as a trap. Watch ye therefore and pray always that you may be accounted worthy to what? Escape all these things that shall come to pass and to stand before the Son of Man, because everyone's going to have to stand before Yahweh Shai. See? So pretty much, remember Lot's wife. We're going to read it again. Remember Lot's wife. Luke 17:32. Remember Lot's wife. She was, too concerned about the riches that they had and gave up her salvation and a chance for deliverance because she could not get her mind off of those riches. You see? So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say, Shalom.